Hello and welcome to the history of the X-Files. Omega Ordain coming at you with a brief history of Dana Scully. And here we go. Dana Katherine Scully is a character in the X-Files television series, an FBI special agent and medical doctor with a background in hard science. Dana was placed in the X-Files unit to monitor and access Fox Mulder's work, as well as to bring her scientific expertise and perspective to the X-Files to counter Mulder's theories of extraterrestrial activity. Although skeptical of his beliefs, Scully and Mulder develop a deep trust and understanding of each other. Scully is shown to be an incredibly smart and capable woman, with a strong, incorruptible sense of integrity. Despite being assigned to debunk the X-Files, she refuses to deliver reports that cater to her supervisor's interests. Instead, her reports accurately describe the events she witnessed, with Mulder without bias. She also never lied to Mulder, even from their first meeting. She is upfront with him why she's been assigned to the X-Files. Scully's honesty is the foundation of her strong relationship with Mulder, even before their romantic involvement. Scully was an extremely important person to Mulder, as she was the only one he felt he could ever trust. Scully is shown to be a balancing force for Mulder, acting as a voice of reason to Mulder's beliefs and reckless actions. Her logic reasoning has saved his life multiple times. As a skeptic and doctor with a firm belief in science, she demands concrete proof before subscribing to any conspiracy. Even after numerous events that prove that there is more out there, she maintains her skepticism. This is not out of stubbornness, but because she finds it a grounding force that not only keeps her sane, but is what made her and Mulder such an effective team. Despite this, she is willing to believe and change her mind when presented with proof. While she has her doubts towards Mulder's conspiracies, she's never brushed him off and supports him in his quest, recognizing that while Mulder is eccentric, he is not crazy and an intelligent, capable agent with a sound mind. Ironically, despite her rigorous beliefs in science, she is a devout Catholic. Her belief in God is likely what allows her to have an open mind towards the X-Files. Despite a belief in keeping an emotional distance and impartiality when approaching cases, she is still shown to be a passionate, empathetic, and caring individual. She has a strong desire to be a mother and was greatly saddened when she learned her abduction and subsequent cancer left her infertile. This made her decision to give up her miraculously conceived son all the more devastating. Dana Scully studied at the University of Maryland, where she learned from one of her professors, a Dr. Diamond, that humans are the top carnivores. We sit on top of the food chain and we reduce the other species' chances of survival. While studying for an undergraduate in physics, Scully wrote her senior thesis entitled Einstein's Twin Paradox, A New Interpretation, which was published in 1986 when she was 23. She graduated from the University of Maryland with a degree. Scully went to medical school but chose not to practice medicine. She did her residency in forensic medicine. While studying for her medical boards, she forgot her own birthday. While studying at a medical school just prior to March 1990, Scully was recruited by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, believing that the FBI was a place where she could distinguish herself. Scully attended the FBI Academy. Other members of her class included Marty Nell and Tom Colton. In March 1992, while still teaching at the Academy, Scully attended a meeting where her career was reviewed by FBI Division Chief Scott Blevins, the cigarette-smoking man, and a third man. She was instructed by Section Chief Blevins to work with Fox Mulder, whom she already knew by reputation. Because of Blevins' belief that Mulder had developed a consuming devotion to the X-Files, Scully was assigned to assist her new partner in his investigations of the files, to write field reports on their activities, and to provide observations on the validity of their work. Following the closure of the X-Files, Scully was reassigned to the FBI Academy in her previous post as a forensic instructor. Although officially separated, Scully continued to provide Mulder with assistance on his investigations, conducting autopsies, undertaking research, and joining him in the field on some occasions. Scully remained a teacher at the Academy until the X-Files were reopened following her disappearance. Scully continued to work on the X-Files until they were closed yet again some years later, though she was instead reassigned to domestic terrorism duties with Mulder and not back to the Academy. Her return to teaching came by her own hand sometime later. Following the birth of her son, William, and Mulder's subsequent retreat into hiding from forces who would otherwise cause him and his new family harm, Scully took up a teaching post once again at the Academy and remained a teacher there, but continued to provide assistance to agents John Dockett and Monica Reese, the agents who took over the X-Files at that time. Scully's abduction. It had become apparent to members of the syndicate that despite the closure of the X-Files project, Mulder and Scully seemed determined to continue their investigations under the radar of their supervisors. Scully, in particular, was identified by name as a problem by Alex Krycek, a rogue operative working for the syndicate, but posing as an FBI agent to spy on Mulder and separate him from Scully. Although Mulder and Krycek were partners for some time, Mulder and Scully's own partnership never frayed, and the syndicate opted for more extreme measures. In 1994, a mental patient named Duane Barry escaped a psychiatric institute and took several people hostage in a travel agency in Virginia. Duane Barry claimed that he was an alien abductee and had been taken multiple times. Barry was also a former FBI agent, and as a result, the FBI and Mulder, due to his experience with alien abduction cases, were called in to negotiate. A situation arose for a trade of an injured hostage, and Mulder took his place. Mulder empathized with Duane and attempted to talk him down. As he did this, Scully became involved with the investigation, having been called on by Mulder to investigate Duane Barry's history. Scully was convinced that Duane was not an alien abductee, as Mulder thought he was, but instead a dangerously unstable and pathologically disturbed man who had suffered an injury in the line of duty which left him suffering from paranoid delusions. With Mulder and Scully's help, the siege was brought to an end, with Duane being shot by FBI tactical team members. Mulder later came to Scully with evidence of what Duane Barry had described during the siege, an alien implant found embedded in his body, along with other implants in other areas. After taking the implants for ballistic analysis, Scully ran it through a supermarket scanner. On her way home, she found that several serial numbers presented on the display. At her apartment, Scully rang Mulder's answering machine and communicated what she had found, saying that it was as if someone was using it to catalog him. As she did so, a noise outside her window disturbed her, and she opened the blinds. Scully was horrified to find Duane Barry, who had smashed his way into her apartment and knocked her down as she screamed over the phone for Mulder's help. Mulder arrived at the scene later to find both Scully and Duane Barry gone. Duane traveled to Skyland Mountain with a captive Scully in the trunk, and Mulder and the FBI in pursuit. Despite attempts by the syndicate to block Mulder reaching the mountain, he eventually did, but Scully was nowhere to be found, having already been taken away by what was later revealed to be a military operation. Approximately 4 weeks later, Scully mysteriously reappeared in a DC hospital with no record of how she returned. As her condition deteriorated, Mulder was hell-bent on vengeance against those who had put her in such a condition. It was only due to the investigation of Scully's sister Melissa that Mulder was able to finally put his anger aside and sit with Scully as she fought for her life. A short time later, Scully awoke from her coma with no memory of what had happened to her. Scully returns to work a week or two later on her first case since her abduction, when she and Agents Mulder are recruited by Dr. Adam Pierce to accompany him into Mount Avalon to investigate the death of a colleague of his, a seismologist named Phil Eckerson. Following the destruction of the X-Files, Scully and Mulder are assigned to other units. Scully was initially assigned with Mulder to investigate a bomb threat under the supervision of SAC Darius Mitchard, but she and her FBI partner found the bomb was linked to plans for the colonization after the discovery of the bomb and it exploded. The X-Files was reopened shortly thereafter, but with two of Mulder's associates within the FBI assigned to investigate the files, rather than Scully and Mulder. Mulder simultaneously made an attempt to technologically restore the incinerated remains of the burned X-Files, an effort he momentarily continued after he and Scully were placed under the supervision of the stern assistant director Alvern Kirsch. In 2016, the X-Files were reopened when Walter Skinner was contacted by Tad O'Malley with compelling new evidence about an abduction conspiracy. Scully returned to work for the FBI with Agent Mulder on the request of Skinner. Dana revealed her mother's living will as she understood it, allowing life support to be applied if Maggie's life could be extended by its use. This provision was added after Dana's experience in the coma, but Maggie revoked it and replaced it with a do not resuscitate a year before Maggie's coma. Dana wasn't aware of this change. After Maggie was unplugged, Dana and Fox sat by her bedside. Charlie called, and when Maggie heard his voice, she opened her eyes. Whether this was a response to Charlie was unclear, because Maggie's last words were to Mulder, "My son's name is William too." She then died, and her body was taken away for organ donation harvest. Hey, thank you for watching the history of the X-Files. Special thanks to the X-Files Wiki for all information you heard today. And have a great day. Bye-bye.